Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. Good morning, gorgeous ones. It's Dr. Lucy here. I had such a good time flying solo last time that I thought I'd give it another crack. So today I'm talking on one of my most favourite topics, which is sugar. And if you listened to last week's podcast, again, it was all about carb addiction. But most of you know now that I am a recovered sugar addict. So sugar previously dominated my life. I could not imagine a day that would go by without having a snack, a bag of licorice bullets, a bag of Maltesers, ice cream, dessert. I always called myself a sweet tooth, and I would watch all of those shows on telly that were about cooking, and my favourites were always the desserts. So my whole identity was wrapped up in sugar. Today, I'd love to talk to you about a concept I'm calling 50 Shades of Sugar. So it's just a little play on words, obviously, but there are about 50 different names for sugar. And food manufacturing companies will use these to disguise sugar in their products. So I've got two particular beefs that I'd love to talk to you. One is junk food. So junk food's not, like, it's really obvious. You know, I don't think there is anybody out there claiming that a Mars bar or a bottle of Coke is healthy. So we've got junk food on as one thing that I want to discuss today. But the second thing I want to discuss, which I think is even more sinister, the thing I call the wolf in sheep's clothing, is the type of food that is considered healthy, which markets itself as healthy, which has this concept that we call health washing. And these are products that will often have labels of things like no added sugar, high fibre, good source of calcium, recommended daily content of iron, various health claims. And what they actually do is cover up the fact that they're really just a pile of rubbish. So we're going to get into those two concepts today. And I know sometimes people will feel that and maybe I am, maybe I'm like a reformed smoker, that my attack on sugar is a little over the top, but I feel like I need to do this to counter the relentless messaging we get about sugar or processed food being good or fun or a treat. This type of messaging can be seen in other products. Interestingly, it's not seen in smoking, and we don't have smoking advertising anymore for good reason. So smoking used to be heavily advertised, and there was imagery that went with it. So for blokes, it was all about the Marlboro man. You know, it was often a bloke on a horse. There was all this kind of tough man imagery that went with smoking. And for women, it was often about tropical islands, surprisingly, fresh air, and that imagery went with smoking. Now, the thing that's happened in Australia in particular is not only is all advertising of cigarettes banned, but packaging has been banned too. So we now have plain packaging. All cigarettes look the same. Now, there was a lot of pushback from the tobacco industry about that, and with good reason, because colour, imagery, size, they all sell. If they didn't sell, there wouldn't be the pushback. So these are all the techniques that are used to advertise junk food. So Coke uses imagery of fun, of people being active outside. They're often playing volleyball. They're at a beach. They're gathering. You know, there's always groups of people. They're always interacting. They're always laughing. You know, and Coke has a motto at the moment of open happiness. So Coke is aligning itself with happiness. The other technique that junk food companies have is colour and fun. So their wrappers of all their chocolate bars, they're always brightly coloured. Smarties, M&Ms, Skittles, it's all about the bright colouring because we as humans are attracted to that. We love colour. Chocolate is all about the colour now. They put in all different coloured things in it. The packaging is all coloured. The packaging is bright. It used to be that chocolate came in like a silver packaging with maybe then just a plain, like a paper wrapper. And now it's a plastic wrapper and it's often brightly coloured. I'm thinking of Crunchy Bars, which are gold, Peppermint Crisps, which are that bright green, Violet Crumbles are bright purple. Like there's things to draw your eye. Packaging makes a huge difference. But the thing, I guess, that is most disturbing about junk food is that it is engineered to make us addicted. They spend buckets, billions of dollars on food scientists, on testing, on researching, on refining to find this thing that is called the bliss point. It is the bit that releases the most amount of dopamine in our brain. So dopamine is our pleasure hormone. It is the bit of hormone that makes us feel good. It goes, And sometimes when you first, maybe you have like that first bit of chocolate and your brain, it does kind of go, Alcohol does the same. And in fact, when I was growing up, there was an ad for Foster's Lager, which was a beer. And you'd crack open the beer and it'd be go, Foster's Lager. And you know what? That still happens every time I open any kind of fizzy drink, even, if it's soda water or anything. As soon as I hear that, I go, Foster's Lager. That's the power of advertising. It imprints slogans, memories, thoughts into your brain. And if they've started in childhood, they'll be there for decades. So companies that then spend a whole pile of money getting you addicted to their product don't take any responsibility because, much like the gambling industry, alcohol industry, it's always drink in moderation, gamble responsibly, as part of a balanced diet. Well, if they really wanted you to eat it as part of a balanced diet, they wouldn't be spending the billions on making it hyper-palatable. They wouldn't be spending the billions on advertising, and they wouldn't be spending the billions on fancy coloured labelling. So when they say eat as part of a balanced diet, what they're really saying is, if you're addicted to this, it's your fault, not ours. And that, my friends, is absolute BS. So I think that that's the kind of junk food messaging that I'm really keen to dispel. I guess the final message about junk food that I want to just chat about is the linking of junk food with the concept of love. Now, this sounds really far-fetched, doesn't it? But it is absolutely true. And in fact, there's an ad going around at the moment for ice cream, which spends a lot of time talking about the love that goes into this product. And they even talk about the fact that their ice cream wins more awards than small boutique ice creams because of the amount of love that goes into it. Again, what a load of cock and bull. The messaging around giving chocolate junk food to people who are sick, to people who are sad, to people that are falling on hard times is all about this idea that this is how to demonstrate your love for them. Ads, again, I'm so scathing, but the advertising industry knows this and they exploit it. They exploit the fact that as humans, we want to demonstrate our love for our fellow human. And the way we can do this is with food. And the way we can do this is to give, and I'm using air quotes, yummy treat food, except that it's not a treat. Remember, a treat used to be something that was done rarely. People have sugar every single day. Buckets of the stuff every single day. It's not a treat anymore. So it's a really big story that's been put into our heads, and it's quite hard to undo. I'm sure people think I'm a wowser, that I'm just, mean and stingy, but I'm not. What I just know now is that I don't need to demonstrate or show love through sugary or processed carby food. There's so many other ways I can do it. But again, this is a story that's been implanted in our head for decades. So that's the junk food industry. Apart from their overt addiction and their overt or their linking of food with love, treats, all of those things, they're not like the health food industry. Massive air quotes, peeps. The health food industry should be called the unhealth food industry because it is pretending. They are the great pretenders. They are the wolf in sheep's clothing, and they are often anything but healthy. So, most supermarkets, they have an aisle called the health food aisle. And in my head, I just call it the unhealth food aisle because the health food aisle is the parts of the supermarket that are around the outside. The fresh fruit, the fresh vegetables, the fresh meat, the fresh cheese, the fresh aisle. That's the healthy aisle. The health food is just processed garbage. So the thing about a lot of these so-called health foods is that they still have piles of sugar in them. And the sugar is dressed up. So it's called things that sound healthy. So there's a product called rice malt syrup. Kind of sounds all right. Rice malt syrup is rice that has been broken down, so processed, into a glucosey, syrupy concoction. And basically it is just pure glucose. So rice malt syrup is sugar. It's nothing else. It is just plain sugar. That's all it is. It just sounds different. A whole host of these syrups, anything that's got the word syrup is just sugar. What these products will put, they'll have no added sugar. What they're talking about when you see that on the packet, what they often mean is no added cane sugar. So most people know that, cane sugar or sucrose or table sugar, that white stuff, whatever you want to call it, that's what they call sugar. You can add in rice malt syrup and then you can proudly slap on the front of the packet, no added sugar. The other thing that you can do is you can process your grains. So rice flour, for example. So rice is a combination. If we go to whole grain rice, rice has carbohydrate, and carbohydrate is just chains of glucose. It does have some protein and water. They're basically what's in it. It doesn't have much fat in the grains. But when you process it down to flour, you're taking those long starchy chains of glucose, which take a bit of effort to break up, and they're basically just produced into small chains of glucose. They're just turned into easily accessible, high GI food. The processing is important. So rice flour is completely different to rice. Now, people will go, oh no, but Dr. Lucy, I've heard you say rice is bad. Now, the things that I want to be really clear here, nothing's good or bad. It's all about how it affects the person. So if you are a person who is insulin resistant or has type 2 diabetes, and this is a huge portion of the population, then eating carbohydrates of any sort is probably not going to help you. But if you're a metabolically flexible person who is active, then having some carbohydrates if they're complex. So that means they will break down slowly and give you a longer energy source, then that's not going to be too bad. But once you process those carbohydrates and you turn them from whole grain into processed food, then whatever benefit that was there is completely lost. So if you're feeding your children food that is carbohydrate but is highly processed, then you're basically giving them a bowl of sugar. So a bowl of cornflakes is a bowl of sugar. The glucose comes from the corn. Also has a fair bit of fructose in there, and we don't need to go on about that. My absolute favourite to get stuck into is Nutrigrain, which has been sold to us for years and years as Ironman food. It's for athletes, and it talks all about strength and all those sorts of, again, health washing words. And again, it's just a bowl of processed sugar, processed grains, which are just sugar. And then the other one we've all grown up with in Australia is Milo. It's marvellous. What a difference Milo makes. Absolutely marvellous. Marvellous because it's basically, again, just a giant tin of flavoured sugar. But what they do is they'll take the words that sound okay, words like oats sound like they must be good for you. But if you have a look at Milo, it's highly processed powder. It doesn't look like an oat at all. There's no oat. It doesn't look anything like an oat. So again, people say, well, what am I going to give my kids for breakfast? I would avoid all processed sugary cereals. Focus on giving your kids savoury breakfast if you can. There's no reason kids can't have a bowl of scrambled eggs for breakfast if they're not egg allergic. It gives them a beautiful amount of protein and fat. You can, and again, if kids can have some toast if they want to, it's not the worst thing in the world. Combining that bread, though, with the fat and the protein will give them sustained energy. If your children are insulin resistant, and sadly insulin resistant does start earlier and earlier these days, then any sugar, any highly processed carbohydrates is not going to be helpful for them. It's really not. So, people go, what about porridge, Dr. Lucy? That porridge is healthy. So the way I look at porridge, again, is it helpful or unhelpful? If you are an active child or an active young adult and you're eating some porridge and you're not then popping 10 tons of sugar on it, maybe you might put some cinnamon in it or some spices and maybe have it with some natural yogurt and a few berries. Well, that's perfectly fine. But what's happening, I see time and time again, people with type 2 diabetes being told to eat porridge with a banana and maybe some honey and thinking that's a healthful meal. But for those people, it's not, because basically it's just their body just processes it like sugar. So understanding the sugar is so important. Being aware of this concept of health washing, noticing that health washing is actually often marketed to children. Muesli bars, all of those products, they're marketed to the parents to give to the children. They're not healthy. They are not. They are full of sugar. Again, it's this idea. I kind of sometimes wonder, how did we get to this point where things like muesli bars that are then scattered with choc chips or dipped in chocolate, basically to make them palatable, but somehow we've been tricked into believing they're healthy. We've just got to be more open-minded to the fact that these products are not designed to help children. They're designed to sell products and make money for the company. But the other thing to notice is when these companies align themselves with children's sport. So again, in Australia, we have Milo will sponsor cricket, McDonald's are sponsoring footy. None of these companies are doing this out of pure benevolence. They're doing it to indoctrinate themselves into kids' sport early and to, I guess, in some ways, health wash their own reputation. They're not doing it because they're good companies. They're doing it because it makes money. If it didn't make them money, they wouldn't do it. So just be really mindful of that. These companies are here to make money by exploiting our natural dopamine responses to food and then sneaking in under the radar by marketing to our children with this concept of health washing. And it's rubbish. So we can wait for government to regulate, but that the wheels of regulation turn slowly. And in actual fact, that it's highly unlikely that things like that will be regulated, particularly in Australia and I'm sure overseas, because the food and beverage industries have very deep pockets. They spend a lot of money lobbying all of the political parties, whether you're in America, whether you're in Australia. They give them, they're clever, they give donations to both sides. So that way, if one side decides not to acquiesce to their demands, well, the other side's got a huge advantage. So they're very, very clever, but they're not here to help us. They're here to make money out of us, and we've got to have our eyes wide open to that. Now, before I finish up, the 50 Shades of Sugar. I've got a series in Instagram, so please, if you are in Instagram, follow Real Life Medicine and go and please like, because I don't want to be just doing these little reels just to myself. But the second thing is to know that we have the 7-day no sugar challenge. Now, in this, you will be given a program that you get to keep forever, which talks more about sugar, its effects on our health, effects on our society, but most importantly, gives you the tools to be able to stop it. Because I cannot tell you how much better my life is without sugar dominating and governing every single one of my decisions. I had no idea of the insidiousness of it. But I feel like I am free. So not having sugar in my life is not about deprivation. It is truly about freedom. And I just love that. So to join the No Sugar Challenge, it starts, the actual challenge, 7 days, which goes from the 22nd to the 29th of August. But we give people a couple of days of prep because people go, I want to get ready. So it will be open from the 20th. You get a program, like a video lesson program. You get a community and you get some live calls with us. It is the cheapest way to work with us. It's $7 for 7 days, which is a total bargain. And you will see both myself and Dr. Mary in this challenge, and we would love to see you. So you can sign up at rlmedicine.com/no sugar. That's rlmedicine.com/no sugar. The link will obviously be in the show notes, and we would love, love, love to see you on board. All right, beautiful people, take good care, and I will see you all next week. So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening. The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.